All right, we'll go ahead and get started. This is our workshop part of the session. This is going to be a lot more informal. Nikhil, came up here and showed you the what and the why of usability. And then Peter came up here and showed you the how overall. And right now we're going to go through the how-to of the heuristic evaluation. And so hopefully everybody did their homework. I understand if you didn't. I hate homework. But we will be going through those two websites that we sent in the email, along with a third website. It'll mostly be GeorgiaGov for comparison, or I've picked some of our platform sites as well just to show an overall platform example. So yeah, let's see. So the two websites are the Department of Revenue that we sent, the Office of Insurance and Safety Fire Commissioner, and then mostly it'll be GeorgiaGov as a third for an example. And we'll go through all of, well, not all of the topics, but we'll go through some of the topics I've highlighted through the heuristic evaluation. You should have a blank one that you can follow along with in your notes as well. And just a little disclaimer, we want to make sure to say that these websites were chosen just for learning capabilities, just as an example, just to show good use cases of the heuristic and then some areas of improvement as well. Okay. Okay, yeah. So for this being more informal, I will be asking for a lot of participation, hoping for a lot of participation. There will be swag to be handed out at the end. The more you answer, the better your answers, because I've been given a limit, so you'll have to compete. All right, so let's start. Under homepage, I was going to start with consistency. It's the fourth one down. It says page layouts are consistent across the whole website. So let's just go ahead. I'll go ahead and walk through this one as a warm-up. So for the Department of Revenue, walking through this, what I would do is just look to see if all of the pages were consistent across the whole website. This one's a PDF, and so I understand that that's not going to be completely consistent. Going through here, this one looks pretty consistent. The left-hand nav is the same, body's over here in the middle. But when I come over here to one of the navigation terms of make a payment, I'm actually taken to a completely different website. So to me, there's a lack of consistency. It doesn't make complete sense. Under here, contact us call centers, I'm actually taken to the same website as you can see in the URL, but a completely different looking web page. It doesn't even look like the rest of the website, and it honestly looks like I've been taken to maybe a pop-up box, or I'm not even sure. So I wouldn't say the Department of Revenue shows a lot of consistency within their website. Some pages are consistent, but not all, and I would be looking for a little bit more consistency as a user. Going to the next website, the Insurance and Safety Fire Commissioner. Again, same process. Let's go through the pages, and these look overall more consistent. You can see a contact us box in the upper left hand, a side menu, and then some news boxes here on the right with your body in the middle. Most all of these pages look exactly the same, so as a user, I can understand and expect how to navigate, what to see on each of the pages. And then going to GeorgiaGov, if I were to look here, going to, let's say, agencies, this page looks a little bit different. Let me go down here to one of the agency pages. I can see that my body's on the left, FAQs, address, website, and then I have some extra associated links here on the right. Cities and counties. This page looks very similar to the agency's page. Going to a county, again, looks very consistent with the agency page. Information on the left, body on the left, and then I have some referral links here on the right. So that's just one really quick, little easy way to go through the website and just try to measure the consistency level. Is it consistent across the board? Would my user understand? Let's go to site description. So there is a site description in the window. Site descriptions are easily understandable as a bookmark. Did anybody who did the homework have an example for the revenue or the Office of Safety Fire?
For fire safety, you can't tell where you are if you just look at the URL.
Okay, great. So the URL here?
Right.
Okay.
It's not human readable. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's not very easy to understand. If I actually go here to actually bookmark this page, you'll see it actually only says industrial loan homepage. It doesn't tell me the website. It doesn't give me any referral as to where this page exists or the parent, site of this page. So I agree, it doesn't have the best site descriptions. It could definitely be a lot more descriptive. Did anybody do the Department of Revenue?
The ones that I looked at, I think it's like untitled or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I found some entitled ones as well. Let me see here. So if I go to business here, yep, this one says untitled right up here. And then if you're looking at all of my tabs up here, if I were to wander off page, you'll see that I have no idea what this page is, what this tab is. You'll also see if I try to bookmark this page, it just says untitled document, causing the user to have to describe what you want them to easily reference in the future. Another example. Now with this example, not all of their site pages said untitled. They did decide to title some of them, but most of the titles only give the site name. So again, it doesn't really give them a great reference in exactly what they're bookmarking. It just tells them the website name, the agency name. Going to the GeorgiaGov site, if I were to look at this site title, it says the Emmanuel County page, which is the page I'm on, and then it also has a reference of the website, GeorgiaGov. Let's try to bookmark another site. And again, yeah, it tells me the name of the page I'm on, which is the agency's page, and along with the parent site, which is GeorgiaGov. So that's a little bit more descriptive, tells me what I'm looking for, which site it's associated with. All right, so let's try the clear call to action. Did anybody have any feedback for either revenue or safety fire? Okay. Yeah, I agree. The homepage is a little overwhelming. I believe their taxonomy is trying to segment it into, I guess, users, different users. That would just only be my guess, though. I'm not sure either. And I agree, there really isn't a good call to action if you're not familiar with the site or not familiar with what type of user you are and where you need to go for the information you're looking for. Now, the Georgia Department of Revenue, their site actually isn't awful in call to action. I mean, I'm seeing some good call to action phrases here: make a payment, renew my tag, register a business. These are probably huge keywords within the site, things people are looking for. Just clicking on them, though, I am taken to different websites. This site in particular, I believe, has a great call to action, a great process. It definitely gives me the information I need to know and gives me the next steps pertaining to the type of information that I have. But if we're just looking at this site in particular, I don't see great call to action. If I'm actually going to register a new vehicle, I assume I go down here to motor vehicles, and then I would go down here to registration. But oddly, this button doesn't work the same way as the other button. It's what we would call affordance. It's when you see a particular tool and you expect a behavior out of it based on its history. Looking at the buttons on the other homepage, I expect these just to be one main button with a main topic that I can go to. Coming down here, you'll actually see a lot of hidden links under this button of registration. These links are very close together, which isn't great for accessibility, which I believe Nikhil also touched on. They don't tell me a whole lot and how else I need to register my vehicle. I assumed I could go to this first link to register my vehicle. They don't want me to register my vehicle. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just inundated with more links and questions which don't really help me. I'm not really sure. This is a lot of information. It's a bit overwhelming. If I go here to registration forms, it's even more overwhelming. I have no idea what kind of form I would need to register my vehicle. I just really want some sort of steps and some content to help me get there. So looking at GeorgiaGov's homepage, I can see, so again, similar with Department of Revenue, there's good call to action phrases. Finding a job, applying for Medicaid. I mean, these I assume are really top searched phrases, searched links, things that a user can identify with. So clicking on one, downloading Georgia Forms, this is a lot more helpful for me. It's segmented into different areas that I would maybe be looking for, so I don't have to scan through a lot of content. It's a little more descriptive in what I'm looking for. If we go to finding a job, this is great. It's a bullet list of what I need to know to find a job. FAQs if I'm looking for a certain question, along with just any sort of associated services and forms that might help me, services that the state might even offer to help me find a job. So let's skip ahead to navigation. Users know where they are on the site. So basically this is asking for breadcrumbs or any sort of like page indicators to let the user know that where they live, how they can get back, and how they got there. Did anyone was able to find any of this for the Department of Revenue or Safety Fire? No? Yeah, I wasn't able to find any sort of breadcrumbs for either site. Especially for revenue, it was a little bit more confusing given how many different levels there are and how many different ways there are to get there. But you're right, generally you'll see your breadcrumbs right up here. It'll tell you how you navigated there, giving you links even to navigate back. And then same for Safety Fire Commissioner. There's no breadcrumbs, no links, there's no indicator other than the highlighted top menu of where I am or how I got here. But if I were to navigate off and click within the quick links down here, I wouldn't really know how I actually got here. So let's actually go to a platform site. If we go to DCH, you'll see all of the breadcrumbs on all of the pages are up here at the top. And they're linked in making sure that the user can go back to the previous page as well, indicating how they got there, their process of getting there, and it would be very easy for them to navigate back if needed. We also, on the community health, can see that they have these arrows for this page indicators. It's not only highlighted to show you that the page you're on, it can also show you all of the other pages and all of the different levels on either how you got there or how you can get to more content if needed. All of the titles are indented, showing the deeper levels. And then you can also see these opened and closed arrows, showing and indicating that there's more levels underneath, that these are parent pages. Okay. Do we have any questions on any of that so far? And if I'm going too fast on the website, definitely let me know. Okay, So accessibility is actually a huge one, and that's definitely one that's getting a lot more popular with websites, making sure that your website's more accessible for all of your users, that everybody can access the information that you need. So with color, was anybody able to find anything for the Department of Revenue or Safety? I believe color says, color alone is not used to convey information such as links, important messages, and alerts. It's actually, we'll go to this page.
Seemed like color alone was used.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you can see a link right here, and color is the only indication that this is an actual link. And surprisingly, these are links as well, which are written in black text. Oh, yes, sorry. Just speak out.
That's okay. On the Department of Revenue website, this is just something that I noticed when it pertains to, I guess, color. If you notice at the bottom, to me, that's like a notification, but it's blending in with the rest of the information. So if that's going to be like an update for like filing your taxes for the previous year, I wouldn't have put it at the bottom, or I wouldn't have put it to match the rest of the other links. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great example. I was actually going to touch on that. I believe under content, the important content is displayed first. But yeah, I completely agree that the color is a little bit more like the background color, and it doesn't indicate any sort of important feature. And even more so, it is below the fold, which is not the best place at all to put important messages to your users.
With the links on the insurance website, what would you recommend that would make it accessible?
So as Nikhil stated, you're going to have a lot of colorblind users as well that might not be able to see the difference between this blue and this black color. So underlining links is always what's best and always what's preferred for link usability. Definitely make sure they're underlined. Also keep the different color for those that aren't colorblind and can also see it. But the underlining is a great indication for those that can't. Right, and so none of these links are underlined. All of these are using color only. Uh-huh. These are highlighted a little bit. Well, we could actually look at GeorgiaGov. GeorgiaGov actually does use a little bit of an underline when you hover over it, indicating that these are links and that somebody can click on them. Yeah. Yeah. And this sort of bold highlighting, that should be enough for somebody with those accessibility issues, but again, it might not be completely foolproof.
So is it appropriate to use it in a color action?
I believe so, with the bold coloring.
And the underlining?
Yes. Let's just look at Department of Community Health. These are just with the bold hovering and no underlining. And then you'll see the links inside on the body are underlined, as well as these.
There's a lot of discussion with people about that right now. But in the past, it's always been underlining. So there's been some getting away from the underlining because of the usability factor. If you mouse over it, sometimes it's better. But still, for people who may not be able to experience the color, the only way you be able to notice it is like mouse over everything.
Yeah.
It would be a problem with screen readers because it would actually, screen readers would distinguish a link from the
Exactly. And I do like that Peter said that, because coming over here to the Department of Revenue's side menu, you'll see that all of these do underline, except for some reason this one. This one is actually an image that they chose to use as part of their menu, which that's actually not preferred for other reasons under accessibility as well. But you can see that the only way that you're going to know this is a link is if you're hovering over it and see that little cursor change.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Can you talk about how tooltip text impacts accessibility?
Tooltip text.
When you mouse over and you get the,
The little,
tip.
yeah, we could actually go back or go next to the all attributes are provided. So that little, yeah, they have it right here. So because this is an image, they have alt text associated with this image, and they added the alt text to file my return. We definitely suggest adding alternative text for all images for those that have screen readers, so they can understand basically users' accessibility issues with sight or visually impaired. They'll have the screen readers read everything to them. The alternative text will give the reader, the user, a sense of what they're looking for, a little bit more of a description. It'll let them know it's an image and a description of what the image is. So for this image, we wouldn't suggest using an image in your navigation at all, but they did use like an alt text for this image. So going to, so all attributes are provided. Let me read that one out loud. Non-text elements such as images and maps have alternative text. Captions and transcriptions are used for audio and video. Okay. Was anyone else ever able to pick up on the alt attributes part of either website?
I didn't see any.
For either
I
website?
saw on the insurance site, but I don't think there were any images at all on that site.
Yeah. The only image I actually found was this one of the commissioner. And another way you can look to see if there's an alt text associated is by right-clicking and then inspect element. And you'll actually see there is an alternative text for this image. Image alt, it's picture of the commissioner. It's not as descriptive. They might not understand what the commissioner looks like, but it's completely fine when it comes to a photograph. Here on the revenue site, there were actually quite a bit of images I found that I couldn't find alt text for. Let's see if I could find those. Here's one image of a customer service image. There's no alternative text for that image at all. So somebody with a screen reader or visually impaired wouldn't know at all what is going on in this section of the website when the screen reader is reading it out to them. Same with this map of Georgia. All the screen reader would be reading to them is this image ID and then the image source, but the user would have no idea what that image was of, because there's no alternative text to let them know image of Georgia, image of the state of Georgia.
What's the standard if you're presenting data in like a table or something like that? How much information do you put in the alternative?
In a table should be read as text, so it shouldn't need.
Graph, like a bar graph.
Oh, if you put in an image of a bar graph. So any sort of text that's just basically a description of what you would be looking at. So you could say, this is a graph of A, B, and C, and then you could even detail A is at this mark, B is at this mark, C is at this mark. Yeah, it could be very simple. It doesn't need to be too in-depth, but they say to use it as much description as possible, as much as you convey to the user as possible. Going here to profile picture of me, I'll just read out what the alt text that I had just put in. It's probably not the best, but it's Pooja Berrong is female with dark hair. I wanted my reader to know that I was female because my name doesn't indicate that. And then I just thought dark hair was the most description that I could find for that image. Let's see, going to GeorgiaGov. So you'll see that they actually have a caption for the House of Representatives image right here. So that would be read out loud by the screen reader, indicating to the user what image is going on. And then you'll also see that these blog images also indicate alt text, senators discussing on the first day of the legislative session. And then this is the Georgia State Senate room. And then driving while under the influence is a reckless decision. So the user with the screen reader will understand that these images are associated with these blogs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did you ask about outside? What is in the outside? Okay. So our vendor has actually a accessibility expert, and her name is Kathleen McNally. And she's actually wears cochlear implants, and she is the expert of things like this. And she has written a really, really in-depth guide if you're really deeply into what to put in your alt text. I will read to you the title, but I will also, when we recap this event, we will also attach it there. So the title of her article about alt text is No More Excuses, the Definitive Guide to the Alt Text Field. And her name is Kathleen McNally from Phase 2. So it's Phase with number 2 together. So she actually wrote in depth about what to put and how to describe images. And it's really easy. It's very, it's really in depth. So that would be a good source for you.
Okay. Let's skip ahead. Under URLs, we can do site URL is memorable. Any feedback on these?
I didn't think so.
For either site?
Well, no, for fire and insurance.
Okay. Anything else? Any revenue?
I mean, fire insurance doesn't even, what is OCI?
That's a great question, though. I have no idea. Yeah, I agree. These aren't very memorable URLs. It'd be really hard for someone to guess at the URL or to even, take a gander as, oh, I'm sure this page would be, / so on. Going at Department of Revenue, I definitely don't feel like these are very memorable URLs. These are a little bit more overwhelming, a lot more going on. Yeah, that's an awful URL to memorize. No one would memorize that. So you want to make sure that your URLs are as friendly as possible, things that someone could easily remember or easily guess at when they're going to. Facebook is great at this because you can pretty much find someone's profile by knowing their name. Facebook.com/that person's name, and it's most likely going to come up. Going to GeorgiaGov, you can see the same thing with these. Georgia.gov/municipality list should be cities and counties. This one's /blogs/elected officials. Pretty easy, memorable URLs. And then if you go in even deeper on a third level, then you'll see that it's the actual state agency's name as well. And you can see the same on the DCH website as well. It's going to be just dch.georgia.gov / and then the name of their title. So when you're going through this heuristic evaluation, and with the one we gave you, it's more of a yes and no checklist. You'll just be going through try to be as objective and try to be as quantifiable criteria as possible and checking off, yes, this completed, no, this didn't complete. A lot of heuristic evaluations actually will go through a scale as well. You can make the scale however you want. If you want to make it a little bit more granular, 1 through 10. If you want to make it a little bit more easier, 1 through 3 or 0 through 2. 0 indicating that the site didn't meet it at all, 1 that it's halfway there, a little bit there, and then 2 that it completely met that criteria. So if we were to do Department of Revenue, that one would not get a check mark. All right. Let's hit some under content. So Dacia pointed out on the Department of Revenue's homepage about this important message being below the fold. You definitely want to make sure that your important content is listed first, not something down here where the user would actually have to scroll down to see it. There's a good chance that your user never will scroll down and will never see it. Did anybody find anything for the Safety Fire Commissioner? Yeah. More at the top? Yeah, that's a good point. There are a lot about these buttons at the bottom. I wouldn't have a guess either as to if those were important or not, or something that I needed to go to. Honestly, I probably wouldn't go to them because they look a little bit more like advertisements to me, so it would be something I would more ignore. Exactly, yeah, so then you completely miss that. No one's looking at any of that. I will say for the Safety Fire Commissioner, they did keep these important alerts here at the top. And so these are above the fold. They're pretty much one of the first things that you see. They did highlight them in red, and then they also bolded them and indicated them with an arrow here. So for those that maybe couldn't see the red color, they can see a bold in the text, and then they can see this arrow as well. Here also that they did put them all caps, bold, red. So a little bit more indications that this is important. Take a look. I found a good example of this on the Office of Workforce Development. Here is a box which I assume is supposed to be very important, rapid response business layoff / closing notifications. They put this box at the very top of their website. They indicated it here with a symbol. And then they also have a colored link here just to indicate that this is something that most of their users will probably want to see. Okay, I don't want to keep you guys here forever. So I'm going to highlight one pretty quickly. It's images and videos are relevant and meaningful. Did anybody find anything about this on either revenue or? The only thing I found was, we saw it before, it's this image of Georgia. So if I'm going here selecting a county, what would my expectation be when I hit submit? Agreed. The county's highlighted. But no, it's just an image of Georgia. So to me, this is just really irrelevant, not purposeful. I actually thought maybe something was broken on the site or on my computer, or maybe I had disabled some sort of JavaScript or functionality that needed to enable this to work. But looking at it, it's just an image. There's no indication there of any purpose or use, and it's just a little bit confusing. If we look at GeorgiaGov, and then we look at, let's say, their images, you can see like this image, especially with the caption describing what it is. It's the House of Representatives on the first day of the 2014 legislative session. That gives me a little bit more understanding of why it's there. It's a significance in this period of time. It's seasonal. It makes sense to what's going on now. Same with these images, especially with the alt text descriptor. You understand that they show what's going on with the blogs that are being written. Okay, so let's just skip ahead to links. Let's do links don't open a new browser tab or window. So your exceptions will include documents such as PDFs, docs, Excels, etc. Did anybody find anything for Department of Revenue with this? We actually found an example earlier when we went to this call centers. So as far as I and my team can tell, this is just a plain web page, but for some reason they've decided to make this into another tab and then also make this into an HTML page that doesn't match the rest of the website. you would want to just keep this within the website. You don't want to have your user navigate away, have them be confused as to why this is a different page, why they're being taken off the website if they're going to a new website. You want to just keep them within the website as much as possible, and then especially just keep your links, even if they are a little bit external. GeorgiaGov has some external links when we go to our agencies, just keeping them within the same web page. Because users love to use their back button as well. I mean, they can always use their back button if they need to navigate back to your website. Went off. Yeah, I found the same thing too.
Well, can I provide a different perspective on that? For a side project we have, when we are directing users to leave our site and go to an external link, we do have it open into a new tab because we want to indicate that we are not responsible for that content.
Okay.
And we definitely want it to be clear there is a separation between
Their site and your website.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're recommending it as far as we can tell, but we can't vouch for
Yeah.
the entirety of that.
That website.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a great note to make. So what she was saying was if you're going to an external link that you're just recommending but don't have any association with. Go ahead.
But if you're doing that, you also need to use the title tag to alert the people before they click the link that they're going to be transferred outside of your agency.
So he's saying use the title tag to alert them.
We do have a tab that says these are external links.
Oh,
or something
okay.
like that, but there's a warning that it's not just
These-
embedded in our, a paragraph.
In your, okay.
Right.
Perfect.
When I was on the revenue side, I think I released one of the applications and it would not allow me back. The back button would not work.
Oh, wow.
I had to start back all over again.
Okay. Yeah, and that's definitely a hiccup within their system because that back button should definitely work. And that was a page within their site?
I think it was one of their applications.
Okay.
I think it was one of their services.
Okay, yeah.
And it it implied that you could use it because you were doing it on other pages.
Exactly.
Then it did.
Exactly.
So did GeorgiaGov choose to do a little blurb about the agency because it is an association?
Did we choose not to do a blurb about because there is an association?
Or, it looks like you did a blurb about the agency and then there's a click to that agency's website.
Correct.
Is that because it is an association? I mean, obviously GeorgiaGov and the agency?
Right, yeah, because with the state of Georgia, I mean, all of us, pretty much we all share the same privacy policy. We all share the same sort of like terms and conditions. So the portal for Georgia.gov is really just understood as a portal to outside resources, to other state resources that are associated as well, but meaning that this is just basically a outfitter of the information that the user needs. So we wouldn't feel the need to separate ourselves with a new tab or a new link from the rest of the sites. All right, let's just do one more and then we'll actually go through and see what these look like in a graph form. Important links aren't placed in moving features. This one should be a quicker one. So as we saw before in the Department of Revenue, we did see a lot of these important links are placed in these moving features. A little bit more hidden. They are definitely closer together, which would be hard for accessibility. And just hard for the user to find the information that they're looking for. It's almost like they're hiding links, they're hiding information. And then I did find the same thing here with the Safety Fire Commissioner. A lot of this I wouldn't have even assumed would come up with a little accordion style of more links to go to. So it's a little bit more hidden. The user might just read this quickly and not realize that what they're looking for or what they need would be hidden in these little subsections here. And then let's just see. So for the DCH site, you'll see that there is a little bit of a tab indicating that there's more here. And then you can see all of the links. the little tab does give a good indication as to there's more being hidden here, or there's more that live underneath these links. We did try to make sure that these levels only went 4 levels deep so that the user wasn't searching, digging deeper into the website, keeping it a little bit more on the surface. Okay, so as I said before, when you go through your evaluation and you go through and you rank everything, either it be completed, didn't complete, or 0, 1, 2, and you go through and then you want to, each little section, take in all of your numbers, you know, how the ranking score over the overall total score. Get a percentage of how the website performed in each section. It gives you more of a quantifiable number into the performance and the quality of the website. And then in doing so, you can create these, well, here we go. Here's a little example of a heuristic design and usability review. This is just a completely random website. And as you'll see, they have these resulting percentages on all of their little sections that they tested on. And you can get a visualization with these radar diagrams. And they're a good way to indicate the areas of your website that are doing great and the areas of your website that maybe need a little bit more improvement. So you'll see, excuse me, you'll see all of your sections here, and then you can see where they meet on your diagram, and you'll see that this is an example of a website that's meeting great in each little area, 75% across the board. And then you'll see, here's an example just of a website that's not meeting so well in any area. They're excelling a little bit in trust and credibility, forms and data, compared to the rest of the website, but not doing well overall. So as you draw out your diagram, you'll see these little areas where you might need a little bit more improvement on accessibility, and then areas that you're doing great with, search. And it's just a really good visualization to show you how the website's performing, how it's doing overall. It's really easy to compare 2 websites by doing an overlap. Here you can see where they measured 2 different similar websites and did an overlap to see where one website was strong, where one website needed improvement, and then where they even were similar. So hopefully this little walkthrough helped a little bit more with a little hands-on. Your homework helped with it. Definitely encourage you guys to go through, and if you want to do your own website or other websites for more examples, just kind of improve, areas that you might need improvement, areas that the other websites might need improvement. You can just get a better feeling of the basic overall performance and quality. Any questions or comments? Was the homework useful? Yeah, good, great. And then do we have any questions for Nikhil or Peter? So easy. All right. Well, thank you for coming. We definitely enjoyed having you here. We'll be sending out an email with a blog post recapping everything. It'll have all of the videos, the slides, and then it'll also have a customer satisfaction survey. It's totally anonymous, so definitely be as honest as possible. We love the feedback. Yeah, I will. Yeah. Thanks.